Good afternoon, wrestling fans. This is Tom Collihew. Today I'm bringing you a bit of a everything we know so far video as regards George Barrios and Michelle Wilson leaving the WWE. This was a bit of shock information we got on Thursday. It created a very instantaneous reaction in the wrestling world and the economic world, which the two rarely meet, but they definitely met this time. So I'll be giving you everything we know so far and how it impacts everything from there. Firstly, we got the news on Thursday that Barrios and Wilson will be leaving after more than 10 years with the company. They are respectively the Chief Financial Officer and the Chief Revenue Officer. Those positions at the moment are currently unfilled. We have an interim CFO, but no interim CRO. I also didn't know CRO was a thing, but apparently you can have officers in charge of revenue. Fair enough. WWE makes a lot of money, so I guess it does make sense. At the moment, the interim CFO is Frank Riddick. I don't really know Frank Riddick, but I know he's been on the board of directors for a very long time and should do an able job. It was very clear from the initial statement that this was a shock move, or at least a very short-term choice. It wasn't something that was particularly debated or something that either Barrios or Wilson was aware of in the forefront and the time beforehand so that they could prepare for it. It is mentioned in the document that a short list of candidates is not already prepared. This is one of the main reasons why there has been an instantaneous economic impact on the company. When it comes to economic transactions, when it comes to stocks, shares, uncertainty is the worst thing you can have. We've seen it quite recently. Anytime there's an election, a country's economic status becomes unstable. This is the exact same thing happening here. And this is a prime reason why the WWE stock opened the next day after a 25% hit there or thereabouts. Ultimately, the value of the company has lost more than $1 billion, essentially overnight. I just want to say on top of that, if you want to keep up to date with that stock information, follow the WrestleNomics channel, who has been really keeping track and on top of the ball with this one. They are worth a follow if you're interested in wrestling and its place in the economy. From this we can gather though that no interviews have taken place, they don't have candidates prepared in mind, so it will take a little time for things to settle down, for people to get in place and for ideas to start rolling in. It's also worth pointing out that as the main reason was the different ideas for moving forward, it seems pretty clear that Vince McMahon's going to want to hire people who are of a very certain mindset, similar if not the same as his own, for his way of carrying things out. It's very telling that the WWE have cut off essentially their profitable arm. I don't mean the arm that makes money, I mean the arm that it is their job to make money. If you lose your finance officer and your revenue officer at the same time, it's going to have a massive impact on the bottom line one way or another. I can say that one of the reasons behind this is believed to be a lack of big picture thinking from Barrios and Wilson. So Vince McMahon will be looking to hire people who share his big picture views. Quite what those big picture views are, it's hard to say. I'm being told it's not related to the XFL, but looking forward, we may learn more at the fourth quarter earning report that will be coming out on Thursday. Now we're going to learn a lot of information from the conference calls there, so stay tuned to Sportskeeda for more information and I will cover what I can as well. Rumours are that the fourth quarter earning reports aren't going to be too spectacular. I've not heard anything similar to this myself. From what I can tell, the numbers are still going to be steady if unspectacular. So it's not the worst position to be in. And when it comes to a company like the WWE, you can't constantly be posting record-breaking profits. So what I am being told is that it is not related to the fourth quarter earning report particularly or per se, but there will undoubtedly be elements there that build a greater picture that resulted in this decision. One of those elements is certainly the rumour that the NXT move onto USA was done without any further money coming from USA into WWE coffers. That would be a major misstep in my opinion, especially when you consider how valuable NXT is or was to the WWE network. Now that NXT is on USA, it's much less likely that people will be signing up to the WWE network if they were going to do that purely for NXT or wrestling related content. You can of course watch Raw, SmackDown and now NXT on TV in America and in the UK now. Pay-per-views are still worthwhile, although BT Sport offers an offer as well, so it's debatable as to the value of the WWE network if people are looking for pure wrestling content. If you're just an NXT fan, it might not be worth getting the network anymore, so we may be seeing the subs reduce there. Brian Alvarez has a theory that the network subscriptions will now be less than 1 million, which would be a massive hit if true. We'll have to wait for the numbers to be certain on that one. I have heard from a few different people inside the head office that there have been a number of altercations and encounters that have been negative. They won't go into too much detail, but negative encounters is the phrase that they used between Barrios, Wilson and Vince McMahon. Even though this is a bit of a surprise moment and definitely a surprise announcement, the idea is that I'm getting is that there have been a number of meetings that have gone badly, or a number of, I will use the phrase again, negative encounters that have created a negative atmosphere between Vince McMahon, George Barrios and Michelle Wilson. Finally, one of the rumours going around as per this particular topic is that there is an intention to sell WWE, and that Vince McMahon wants to move full-time out of wrestling, as well as Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. To my knowledge, this is considerably wide of the mark. Vince McMahon, from everything I've been told, as much as he is stepping back from the day-to-day running and brought in executive directors for that reason so that he can focus on the XFL, Vince McMahon will never truly relinquish control of the WWE. I have absolute faith in that. If there's a sale coming, it will be a sale of the 49% that he does not control. When it comes to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, I can't speak for Stephanie. I've never met Stephanie or interviewed her, but in conversations with Triple H, he did mention that his dream for wrestling was to wrestle. It was never to be in the boardroom. It was never to be managing wrestlers. It was to wrestle. So there is certainly a possibility that he may wish to move into different things going forwards. That's up to him. Really, I don't think we should be saying, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this, you need to be looking after NXT, you need to be there for us. If he wants to move on, that's his choice. One thing it is worth mentioning though, is that to my knowledge, Triple H is not the next in line to take over WWE after Vince McMahon. The next in line is Shane McMahon. I know people want Triple H, but Shane McMahon is the next in line, and that's one of the reasons he's been doing production work, for example, at the Royal Rumble. He's been involved in everything since day one, essentially, of his birth into this company. He's set up the ring, he's done ref work, he's been involved in storylines. Shane McMahon knows wrestling, he knows how to be successful, and I, for one, am quite excited to see the day he does take over, as I'm sure, even though Vince McMahon will never willingly take over, we're going to see Shane a lot more involved in future. He is going to take a lot more of the control now that Vince is stepping back. That's everything we know at the moment. If this sort of video is useful to you, please do click like. It's a big help in getting this video viewed by a lot more people, and that really helps me to produce more content. So thank you for watching. Please do subscribe as well, and I will see you next time. Thanks for coming.